Welcome back to this episode of the Iowa Beef Collective. We're taping several episodes here today. If you couldn't tell, we are live from the Iowa State Fair in the stalling barn. We're here with Andy Montag for this episode from Montag Farms. Andy is a cattle feeder from the Grimes area. Been doing it quite a while there, and thought it would be good to get somebody on here to talk about feedlot marketing and feedlot management. And kind of how things have changed recently in the market that we're in. So take a minute and introduce yourself to our audience, where you started, how you got started feeding cattle, and capacity and things of that nature that you're doing right now.
All right. Well, like Pat said, I'm Andy Montag from Grimes, Iowa. Been custom feeding cattle for 25, almost 26 years now. Worked in the commercial side of it in a bigger yard to 6,000 head capacity. And here in the last 12 months, ventured out on our own. Got 700 head on feed at our place, and then manage and procure and market cattle at a couple other locations in northwest Iowa. Couple thousand head up there.
Obviously, we're in an unprecedented market, and it looks to remain pretty strong here for the near future. I guess talk about, over your 25 years versus maybe the last 12 months. How has cattle management, cattle marketing changed, if at all?
Well, I think probably hasn't changed a whole lot as far as cattle marketing, but I think the thing that's changed is the total dollars invested for the same return and the protection that needs to be put in place on them cattle. The one thing that's changed since COVID has been the LRP. That's been a huge benefit to any producer, whether you're background in cattle or finishing cattle. Even the cow calf guys, locking that price in now and knowing where you're at with the upside potential.
Let's dig into the LRP. For the audience members that don't know exactly what it is, describe how a feedlot makes it work.
LRP is livestock risk protection insurance, and it's just like your crop insurance offered through the government. You have a broker, and every Friday they send you a price sheet. You can lock in, and then it's for the background cattle. It's based off the feeder cattle index, and on the fat cattle, it's based off the live cattle board.
The unprecedented part is there's never been this kind of protection offered to the feedlot industry, and a lot of folks are saying that the markets are supported because the risk has been somewhat removed from the feedlot producer. Would you say that's a fair statement? What percentage of the cattle that are in your yard are utilizing LRP?
Yeah, I would say that's definitely a fair statement. I would say we're about 50% LRP on our cattle right now. Used to do a lot of packer contracts, but with the LRP, you're going to get 100% of the upside. For instance, we have some August contracts locked in now at 201 current fat price. We're talking 240 to 250. We're leaving money on the table at that point. So yeah, it's definitely for the price the easiest and quickest way to lock in a price on your cattle and still catch that top side.
Excellent. I'm going to shift gears a moment. For those of us from Iowa that know where Grimes is, it's urban sprawl country.
It is that.
And, I've been to your yard, and you can see housing development from your front porch. So I guess over the last, 25 years when you've been feeding cattle in that territory, talk about the regulations from DNR and how you've had to navigate that over that period. Has it gotten harder? Has it gotten easier? We don't need to dive into politics per se, but I'm sure that some of that has an impact on what you can and can't do. So talk about over the last 2 decades, how DNR and some of the regulations on water quality and things of that nature have altered how you do business.
The biggest thing is, just having your manure management plan and communicating with the DNR. I don't think it's been any harder over the years, but we've always water sampled every time it rains an inch, 7 different locations, and we got records to back it up. I think the biggest thing is maybe not so much where we're located is dealing with the DNR, but it's neighbor relations. It's presenting and doing a good job from the road for your neighbors, or when they come up the driveway, and they can see that you care about the land as much as they do.
Moving on to kind of the marketing side, your yard is full right now, I assume,
Correct.
and I assume you're going to keep it full.
Yep.
And that's kind of the goal for those that are in the business. You don't really make any money if you don't have a head in the bunk.
That's right.
So I guess looking forward, let's say 6 months. Are you forecasting the market to be strong, stable, up, down? What do you think's going to happen?
Honestly, I think 6 months from now, we have the same number of calves to feed as we had last fall. Expansion hasn't taken place at a great degree. Yeah, there's some heifer retention, but at this point, I think honestly we're kind of in the maybe driver's seat for. I don't know that we'll have 240 fat cattle, but $2 fat cattle. I think the biggest and the most overlooked problem in the cattle business right now, when it comes to numbers, it's not the drought, it's not the water, it's the people that want to wake up every day and do chores. And the cow calf guys, our producer age is 65, 65 plus, and I think as until we get a new generation that actually wants to be in the cattle business and make a living off of it, I think we stay in these tighter numbers.
Okay. And I would agree the consolidation of the feedlot sector, I don't know how much tighter it can go, but I don't see, a lot of the smaller farmer feeders that, like you said, are
Correct.
65. There's not a son or even a son-in-law wanting to take a lot of those over.
That's correct.
So those cattle have to go somewhere, and we're in a market where there's not very many cattle to go around. So when those yards might empty, and they're just not going to refill.
Right, and I think one of the benefits coming into this fall is for the smaller cow calf guy that wants to maybe retain some ownership and market some of his corn through his calves with commodity prices where they're at. I think we're going to see a lot of that.
I do too. I want to let's back up a bit, and if we just talked about the 65-year-old producer. If there is a 22-year-old that wants to do what you do, how do they start?
Well, that's a loaded question. I think the biggest thing is just have the compassion to do it, and they'll find a way. I mean, we got enough programs out there with equip money and stuff. I think in northern Iowa, barns are the way to go. You can get the money, you can put up the barn, and I think that's goes for all through the state. You just got to be willing to take the risk and put in the hours, and I think there's an opportunity for anybody that wants to get in the business.
This will be another loaded one. What would Andy Montag today like to tell 25-year-old Andy Montag who just got started that would have made you better at what you did when you got going?
Well, that is a loaded question. I think probably from my retrospect of first starting out, I would say pay more attention to the marketing side and the protection side. We all remember 14 and 15 through 17 when the markets crashed, and I probably had way more cattle on feed than I needed at that time, and no protection. And yeah, I think you just gotta, if you're gonna make it in the cattle feeding business, you got to be able to market. You got to be able to protect.
What bit of advice, I guess? There's Iowa's still the prime place to feed cattle. I think it always will be. We have access to as much, if not more, grain than anyone. Is there anything that Iowa could do to position itself better when cow numbers do start to come back? Packing capacity and where these plants are located,
Mm-hmm.
and those types of things are. It's been a lot of buzz since COVID. Because we were on the backside of this, we were on the other side, and now that the tables have turned, and there's a lot of plants that either they've broke ground or they're half built or things of that nature. So what do you see from a packing capacity standpoint, maybe 5-10 years down the road, as cow numbers do climb? Because they will. I don't know that we'll climb back to maybe where we were, but I think we are going to start to climb. So what do you see there?
Yeah, I'd agree with that on the cow numbers. I think on the packing side, I think we need to have the capacity ramp up when we get to that point, but we need to ramp up in programs and have grids and markets for specific programs instead of just a cash cattle trade. You know, uh, for instance, I'm always pushing on the Hereford Association and my guys at U.S. Premium and Iowa Premium. When they build a new plant, they keep promising that we are going to have a certified Hereford beef day. Every day of the one day out of every week where we're going to kill Hereford cattle and market CHBs. I just think we need to get more of the programs in and not settle on the cash trade. I think that's our biggest challenge. When times are good, it's not. When they're short cattle, it's not. But you know, 80% of the lifetime of feeding cattle, you're not in the good years. So we need to have programs, niche markets where we can market our cattle and not rely on a cash trade.
Excellent. I couldn't agree more. I always think that the process should work itself backwards. You gotta have a place to market them before you even get them bought.
I agree.
And hopefully, as cow numbers climb back, we'll continue to expand the marketing side of things. And there's plenty of wholesome, tasty beef in the U.S. That's not an issue.
That's not an issue.
But the marketing side of things, I do believe, if we tell people what they want to hear and we offer them a product that they, want to eat and enjoy over and over again, then the price will take care of itself.
Exactly. And honestly, you brought up COVID. I think COVID, for as hard as it was for us, was probably the best thing for us as an industry. It taught people to eat beef. It taught them to eat it at home, prepare at home, and our box movement has stayed steady ever since then. And I think the one thing we're probably missing right now, that's out there, and it don't get a lot of talk about it, but this carnivore diet deal. I mean, our boxes are holding steady at record levels. So I think we got the demand. We just got to keep it.
When you turn on the TV, there's lots of talk about export, obviously. With everything that has happened globally, tariff and all the other stuff you want to talk about, demand for beef has not changed virtually at all.
No, it hasn't. Good quality meat sells,
Yep. So I think, we're talking about the golden years or the golden ages, and I've heard a lot of talk online that we have to be in it. If we're not in it yet, when does it happen? I think this has to be it, right?
Yeah, I think we're, from a feedlot standpoint, 240, 250 fat cattle in August. August has always been our low month, and we're going to make it our high. So if this ain't the golden years, I don't know what could be.
Yep, I would agree. And that's, I think, a great place to wrap up and end. Unless you have any parting words of advice, but I've enjoyed visiting with you, and we do market some cattle through you, and an operation that, I think you have found your own niche, if you will, on how to market what you can get here locally, and work with the right folks on the backside of things. But enjoyed visiting with you, and hopefully the feedlot marketing side is strong for quite a while. I know that the challenging years are really challenging. So thanks for joining us here, and we'll visit with you down the line. But thank you for the audience for tuning in to this episode of the Iowa Beef Collective. Thanks for joining us.
This institution is an equal opportunity provider. For the full non-discrimination statement or accommodation inquiries, go to www.extension.iastate.edu/legal.